His name was John. He was not born different. He was not struck by lightning nor touched by any radioactive substance. Yet, John was different. He felt what others felt. Their pain was his pain. Their fear, his terror. Their joy, a distant echo in his heart. He was flesh, but his flesh was a receiver, tuned to the frequencies of human suffering. Every cut, every burn, every ache resonated within him. The world was a symphony of pain, and he, the unwilling conductor. John wasn't a doctor, he wasn't a nurse, he was just a man, cursed with an empathy so profound it threatened to consume him. The city throbbed around him, a living organism of hurt. A car backfired, a sharp crack that shot through his temples. A child scraped his knee, a searing pain that brought John to his knees. He walked with a limp, the phantom pain of 1,000 broken bones. His stomach churned, a constant nausea fueled by the city's collective indigestion. He tasted blood in his mouth, the metallic tang of a world constantly wounding itself. Sleep offered no escape. Dreams were not his own, but vivid nightmares drawn from the minds of insomniacs and sufferers. He woke each morning drained, dreading the onslaught of another day. John was a prisoner in his own body, a hostage to the pain of strangers. The calls always came at the worst possible times. A jolt of adrenaline, a wave of nausea, a name whispered in his mind. The hospital, someone, somewhere, was in agony. He couldn't ignore the call. It was a siren song of suffering, drawing him in against his will. He would find himself at the hospital, drawn to a room, a bed, a source of unimaginable pain. The doctors, at first skeptical, had come to accept his strange gift. He could pinpoint the source of pain, describe it, quantify it. He was a human pain chart, a walking MRI of misery. But each visit chipped away at his sanity. Each cry of pain, each whimper of fear, etched itself onto his soul. He was drowning in the suffering of others. One day, John reached his breaking point. He could no longer be a vessel for the world's pain. He yearned for silence, for peace, for the freedom to experience his own emotions. He sought out a lawyer, a woman with tired eyes and a no-nonsense demeanor. He told her his story, his voice cracking with the strain of holding back years of borrowed pain. He didn't want money. He didn't want fame. He wanted something far more radical, far more impossible. He wanted to be free. John wanted to sue his own ability, to sever the psychic tether that bound him to the suffering of others. He wanted to reclaim his body, his mind, his life. The courtroom was a cold, sterile place, the air thick with anticipation. John sat at the plaintiff's table, his lawyer by his side. Across from him, representing the state, sat a young, ambitious attorney. "Mr. John," the state attorney began, his voice smooth and condescending. "You claim to feel the pain of others, is that correct?" John whispered, each word a monumental effort. "Yes." The lawyer's skepticism, the jury's doubt, it all washed over him in a wave of nausea. "And you claim this ability, this empathy, is a curse?" The state attorney continued, his voice laced with disbelief. "That it prevents you from living a normal life?" John closed his eyes, the courtroom fading away. He was back in the hospital, the cries of a burn victim echoing in his ears. "It's not a gift," he choked out, tears streaming down his face. "It's a prison." Section 6, A Case for Freedom. John's lawyer, her voice quiet but firm, addressed the jury. "My client is not asking for sympathy," she said, her gaze sweeping over the skeptical faces. "He is asking for something far more fundamental. He is asking for his freedom." She spoke of bodily autonomy, of the right to privacy, of the fundamental human need to experience the world without the constant intrusion of another's pain. "Imagine," she said, her voice resonating through the silent courtroom, being bombarded by the emotions of everyone around you, every cough, every sneeze, every heartbreak, every death. This is John's reality. Section 7, A Question of Consent. The state attorney countered with arguments of public good. Mr. John's ability, while unusual, is a valuable asset, he argued. He has helped countless people by identifying and quantifying their pain. He painted a picture of a world without John's empathy, a world where doctors struggled to diagnose, where pain went untreated. To strip Mr. John of his ability, he concluded, would be to rob society of a valuable resource. But John's lawyer was ready with a rebuttal. The state cannot force an individual to use their body, their mind, for the benefit of others without their consent, she argued. This is not about the greater good. This is about freedom. Section 8. The verdict. The jury deliberated for 3 long days. 3 days of silence, of solitude, of blessed relief from the cacophony of the world's pain. 3 days where John could almost believe for the first time in years that he might be free. The verdict came on a Thursday afternoon. The courtroom was packed, a microcosm of a society grappling with a question that struck at the very core of individual liberty. In the matter of John versus the state, the judge announced, his voice echoing through the silent courtroom, the jury finds. The words hung in the air, heavy with anticipation. John held his breath, his heart pounding in his chest. In favor of the plaintiff. Section 9. Echoes of pain. The courtroom erupted in a cacophony of cheers and gasps. John felt a wave of relief wash over him, so profound it almost felt like pain. It was the pain of 1,000 burdens lifting, 1,000 shackles breaking. He was free. The world, once a symphony of suffering, was now a muted hum. He could still sense the pain, but it was distant, like echoes in a vast cavern. It was a victory, yes, but a bittersweet one. The world was still filled with pain, but for the first time in his life, John was free to choose how much of it he would carry.